Hey guys, this is Victor, the Wise Traditions nutritionist from Vitagenics, and today I want to speak to you about anemia. So if you suffer from anemia, we're going to talk about some cautions, some tips, how you can take care of it naturally. So if you're a sufferer, maybe you don't have to be. So anyway, taking a look at anemia, more iron is not always the answer. So there's a big problem where we are oversubscribing iron. And like everyone thinks that all anemia is just, a shortage of iron, that we need to get more iron into the diet. And it's just not true. So it's a much more complicated situation than that. But you're going to hear me constantly cautioning you against iron intake unless you really know for sure that you need it. Now, there's a really good article on the web, not by me. This is at drjockers.com. And they've got this real convenient thing, 13 ways to heal anemia naturally. But I got to tell you, there are more than 13 ways, okay? There are endless ways. And of course, in the article, they'll tell you the same thing. They're just showing you how many different options you have for taking care of anemia. So there is a lot of help out there for you, but it is confusing. It can be overwhelming, and so I'm hoping to simplify it for you here. So moving forward, we're going to look at three things. When is iron deficiency anemia not an iron deficiency? So there are many kinds of anemia, right? And even iron deficiency anemia is not because you are lacking iron. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about how to treat anemia naturally with food and supplements. And finally, we're going to talk about how do you know? How do you know what type of anemia you have? This is really important. Okay, so moving ahead to this first point and looking a bit more closely. So maybe you get diagnosed, okay, you have iron deficiency anemia. However, maybe your iron intake is sufficient. Maybe you are getting enough iron into the body, but your metabolites are deficient, meaning there are all these other things that the body needs to use the iron. So if you have enough iron and you're lacking metabolites, you end up with the anemia and you end up with a lot of oxidative stress. Too much iron is not good for you. So again, maybe the iron intake is okay, but if you don't have all the other nutrients to use the iron, you're going to end up with oxidative stress and still having the anemia. So be very careful before you just load up on iron. You got to make sure you have enough of everything else. So another important thing, do not self-diagnose. So I'm giving you guidance here, but I'm not telling you to self-diagnose. I'm just trying to help point you in the right direction, trying to give you more information. You really need to do a lot of different testing because there are many different reasons. So again, looking deeper at this answer, when iron intake would normally be enough, but it's not enough, maybe because of genetics, drugs, disease, injury. I mean, you might be bleeding internally, for example. There are so many different factors. And again, as I mentioned, all the metabolites. So you really got to know why your body is not using the iron. Like maybe you have the enough intake, maybe you don't. Maybe you have iron loss. Maybe you're just not utilizing it properly. Maybe you have some other metabolic dysfunction that's occurring in the body. So you really have to do a lot of testing to figure out what's going on. Now, once you know what's going on, how do you treat that, right? Well, you've heard me say many times the Western Price Foundation, that really provides the best guidance on how to eat like a human should eat. And if you're following that guidance, you should be okay, basically, unless there are other genetic factors, etc. There are environmental factors that are affecting many of us. So again, it's not that simple, but this is really the foundation for how you should eat. And I have a lot of guidance on the website about this to make it easier for you. Now, this is your long-term solution, food, because food provides everything for you. The iron that you may need and all the other metabolites, okay, the other cofactors, so to say. Now, in the short term, you might need some supplements, okay? A lot of us don't have access to the food we need, and so supplementation is necessary. Make sure, though, that you're getting quality supplements. You got to know what you're putting in your body. You got to look deep into that. Now, again, when we look at that site, or if you do look at that site at drjockers.com, this is a list of the 13 things that he had there. But again, there's a lot more than this. You'll see a lot of these are pointing to your body's digestion. So not just putting the things, you might be putting everything you need into the body as far as micronutrients go, but if you're not digesting it, you're not absorbing it, well, then it doesn't have any meaning, right? So you got to make sure that your digestion is good. You got to make sure you're healthy, fermented foods, etc. There's a lot of things you got to do right, but again, it's just kind of common, simple, living like a human should, eating a good diet. So looking a little bit deeper at that, kind of looking at your major macronutrients at the food sources. Liver is really important. Everyone knows it's very high in iron, but it's high in a lot of other important nutrients that you need. Fermented foods, this is really critical. You got to get fermented foods into your diet. Kefir, yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, whatever. There are so many things, fermented meats, fermented vegetables, just so many things. Now, beets are especially good if you have an anemia problem. Beets are really good for your blood. A lot of people already know this. Beet kvass is really great if you want to make the fermented beet drink. Ginseng is said to be very helpful for people with anemia, so you might want to look into that. And then, of course, bitters are really great to help digestion. And again, as you noticed previously, digestive issues tend to be a problem that compromise your ability to get the iron or the other metabolites. And bitters are very good to have with your meals. Now, looking at the micronutrients, magnesium, copper, vitamin C, vitamins A, D, K, and the B vitamins are all critical for proper usage of the iron. So, any deficiency in any one of these could be really the root cause of your iron deficiency. So you really got to be careful and make sure you've got these things taken care of. All right, so how can I know what type of anemia I have? Now, this is not an easy thing to know, actually, and you can really never know with 100% certainty. There is a lot of misdiagnosis. So be careful. You just try to get the best understanding that you can of your situation. And you do a lot of different testing. You get a full panel of tests. Your blood tests, physical exams will tell a lot, stool analysis, and then even, more testing. The more you do, the more certainty you have. Get second, third opinions, etc. Do your research. There is a lot. Just try to make sure you know what is happening. Do not assume that you have or that you do not have enough iron. That is a really big risk, to just automatically consume more iron. And that's about it. I just want to alert you to the dangers of too much iron consumption and hopefully enable you to take care of your anemia naturally. It could be a lot easier than you think. Sometimes the solutions are really very simple. And that's about all I have. Thank you for listening. I hope this helps get you on your road to wellness and helps you get rid of your anemia. Hope you subscribe. Thanks again.